Man, you know, everybody, I feel like in this day and age, 2022, I feel like anything can happen. Do you feel that way? Because I do. I feel like anything can get announced. I feel like anything your mind can think of might just happen. You know what I mean? When I was a kid growing up in the 80s and 90s, you know, we got all kinds of new stuff. And, you know, like RoboCop, for instance, or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, right? Or Super Smash Brothers, right? We got all of these things, right? I'm just picking a few because there's millions of things that we could pick from, right? But here we are all these years later, and we're just like seeing all of these licenses just keep getting reused and reused and reused. You know, the new stuff isn't really coming. It's just like we have been waiting so long for good entries of the things that we loved as kids, right? You know, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, for instance, like this year, they came out with a new Shredder's Revenge game, which was it's a complete arcade style game, which is what we had when we were kids. We had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game, and it was amazing. And then they came out with this new Shredder's Revenge. You could tell it's just a complete love letter to that original game. You know, Super Smash Brothers. We got that in the mid '90s. Was it '96? I think on the Nintendo 64. And at the time, we would argue with our friends like, oh, you know, it would be so cool. Not only do we have this great fighting game that's got Link and Pikachu and Mario and Donkey Kong and Bowser and everybody in it, but man, could you imagine in the future if they added Sonic to it? You know, if you could finally have Mario fight Sonic, and we're like, that'll never happen. And fast forward several years later, you know, I think it was Smash Brothers on the Wii. Was it the Wii? Or the Wii U version? I forget which one of them. They finally added Sonic in there, so you could fight Sonic and Mario. Just crazy. Anyway, I'm trekking too far down memory lane here. My whole point here that I'm belaboring is that they have announced a new RoboCop game called Rogue City, and it looks awesome because they're using the original RoboCop from the original movie. And Peter Weller, he's back. He's voicing the original RoboCop. He was the original actor in the original movie. I love this stuff. You know, I love that companies are coming out and giving people like what they want to see, or, you know, the fact that, because I'm a RoboCop fan, you know, I wouldn't say I'm the biggest RoboCop fan, but I know there's other fans out there that are just like salivating over this. They're just like, oh my God, Peter Weller's back and it looks amazing. And RoboCop is such an underutilized license, wouldn't you say? Like, they got a few movies, not all of them are great. And the only thing they really did with it was a few years back, they did a remake, you know. And it was okay. I don't think it was as bad as other people would say it was. A lot of people called it trash. I don't think it was trash, but it wasn't, it didn't hit the same vibe that the original RoboCop had. The original RoboCop was like just violent and scary and just, you know, it had this really raw, like almost like pre-cyberpunk feel to it. You know what I mean? They had a RoboCop and it had this sciencey feel to it because you're putting him in the body of a robot, you know, as a cop. But it, you know, it had this dumb, you know, action movie pre-cyber, you know, cyberpunk feel to it, and it was such an amazing thing when it came out. You know, it was such a great movie, and it was like, oh my God, it was hyper violent. Did I mention that already? Oh my God, was it violent? It was such a violent movie, and we loved it. It was great. And so anyway, this is just me rambling on for almost 3.5 minutes, just about how cool it is that we live in a year where like anything like this could happen, like RoboCop getting a new game. Like, this has got to be potentially what they consider like the next movie, right? They probably can't get the funds to make the movie, but some companies like, hey, what if we make a game? And they're like, okay, cool. Anyway, what we got here for you is the RoboCop Rogue City trailer. Now, there isn't much gameplay in here. You could tell that some of the stuff running in the trailer is in-game. You could just tell by the models and whatnot. But I think it still looks really cool. So let's take a look.
In local news, a new crime wave that is sweeping Detroit has already claimed the lives of 21 police officers.
Disturbance? I'm a big fan. Now move.
Those are in-game models there. You can definitely tell. There he is. Freeze, creep.
Can you fly?
There's a little bit of gameplay stuff there. very, very minimal.
What the hell is this? Where is all the money?
We all saw it hesitate in a life and death situation. Why?
Listen, I would trust this guy with my kids. I mean, if I had any. This was just an isolated glitch.
Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
Still sounds like him. So man, look at that. Awesome. So that looks pretty impressive, right? I mean, like I said, they didn't show a whole lot of gameplay there, and there was a lot of in-game, cutscene stuff going on, which I'm okay with. I most of the time would rather things happen in-game because that way it's going to cut back to you very quickly. The only way they can ruin this is if they, out of nowhere, because you see a lot of areas where you're shooting, and the only way they can ruin this is if they're going to make this like a 5v5 like online shooter thing. Which I wouldn't put it past them if they like show this off. I was like, oh, I really hope this is like a single player story, where you get to play RoboCop who's glitching out and everything, right, and having problems, going AWOL. But watch, they'll be like, oh yeah, 5 of you are street cyberpunks, and the other 5 of you are different types of RoboCops, and you are fighting over who's going to have control over this bank. That's the only way they could honestly ruin this. But if they make this a story-based game, like if they take RoboCop and they're making it an Arkham Asylum style game where you see the throwback characters, you're playing in Detroit obviously, which is already cool. But if they just include all that stuff from the original movies, throw in some nods here or there, give some fan service or whatnot, and whatnot, I feel like people are going to be very happy with this. But there's a piece of me that's like, this is going to end up being an online multiplayer game, isn't it? Isn't it? Next year when they show it, they're going to show it in like April, like a couple months before it comes out, and they're going to be like, RoboCop Rogue City puts you in the driver's seat with a team to go around the city and protect it from the cyberpunks. And and it's going to be like a team of like different RoboCops with like, Halo armor that you could color green or blue and put unicorn decals on there. And then you're going to fight other street punks. It's going to be real stupid, right? But I hope to God that isn't what they're doing here. People are going to be so pissed off if that's what they do. But as you can see, the game is coming out on just about everything next year, even the Switch. So with the Switch, I'm really, really interested to see how that's going to work on the Switch. I know that's something that's come up a lot, recently about the Switch, is it's like a pretty underpowered machine. Is this going to run on the cloud like some of these other bigger games? Are they going to like really, really gimp the graphics down hardcore and make it work that way? I don't know. That's really curious to see. But it is coming out on just about everything else. And you'll also notice that it does not mention the PS4 or just the regular Xbox One. So it's interesting that it's coming out on the Switch, but it's not coming out on those consoles. Very interesting. Either way, guys, that is a look at RoboCop Rogue City here. I'm excited to see what this is going to turn into next year. Like I said, fingers crossed it's not an online multiplayer game. I hope it's just a fun single-player experience like via Arkham Asylum or something like that. I really hope we get that kind of story here. RoboCop deserves it, and Peter Weller deserves it for sure. But tell me what you all think. Tell me in the comments, what do you think this game is going to turn into? You think it's going to be the fun single-player game, or do you think it's going to be a multiplayer game that nobody wants? Or, are you even excited about this whatsoever? Let me know what you think. And of course, I'll see you all in the next one.